Watch how we take this old man's dress shirt and turn it into a cute fitted skirt with suspender straps. This is Kenna, who's a beginning seamstress, and this skirt took us about 2.5 hours. Okay, today I'm going to work with my friend Kenna, and we are going to take this oversized shirt and turn it into a cute skirt that she's been wanting for a while. So, this is how it's done. First things always first, unpick the pocket. The corner of the pockets are always the hardest to get unpicked, but once you get that part done, it's really easy from there on out. Next, we're going to measure the waist, the hips, and the length from the waist down to the knee, and we're going to write down those measurements for later. Deconstruct the shirt by cutting off the sleeves and then cutting off the top of the shirt along the back shoulder seam line. Make sure as you're cutting to try and align the material along the pattern of the material you've chosen. The next step, you're going to cut the material into the basic skirt shape, which really is like a large rectangle. You're going to use your hip measurement to cut the width of the material. Take the hip measurement and you add 5 inches to that measurement before you cut. It's really easy to cut a straight line when you have the material pattern to use as your guide for cutting that straight line. So keep that in mind when you pick out which shirt you're going to use to turn into a skirt. Don't forget to iron out the material so you can easily align the pattern of the material when you begin to sew. The next step is done to make it easier to fit the skirt to your body. Pin the sides of the skirt together and then sew a basting stitch down both sides of the skirt. A basting stitch is a quick or temporary stitch to hold the material in place. We set our stitch length to its longest length and then sewed this rectangle together down both sides. We made sure to align the pattern and took our time to align the bottom of the hem of the shirt so that we didn't have to re-hem the bottom of the skirt when we were done. A quick tip to sew a straight line is to watch the edge of your pressure foot as you sew and not the needle as it goes up and down. If you follow the side of your pressure foot, you're more likely to sew a straight line. We're also trying hard to align the bottom of the hem so that we don't have to re-hem the skirt after. This next step, you're going to fit the skirt to your body. Put the skirt on inside out so the buttons are facing inside. Then you might need a friend to help you pin the sides. I've pinned skirts up on myself, but the easiest way is to have a friend help you or use a dress form. Make sure as you're pinning, you're not pinning the clothes underneath that your friend is wearing or that you are wearing, because then you can't take the skirt off after you've pinned. Start at the top of the skirt and pin both sides in towards the waist, trying to pin even amounts on both sides. Then go down both sides at the same time, pinning and fitting the skirt. Once you pass the hips, you can pin the skirt in at a slight angle towards the knee on one side and then pin the other side. We added 2 darts on the back of this skirt. A dart is like a triangle shape we sewed into the skirt to shape the skirt to her body. We pinched the material together at the waist in 2 spots, halfway between the side seam and the center back of the skirt. And we added a pin on each fold. Then we added a pin in the skirt angled upward where we wanted the dart to end. She took the skirt off and we cut off the excess material, leaving less than a ½ inch from the pins. Cut as straight as you can so that you create a smooth line next to these pins. Sew the sides together with a top stitch. Again, we made sure to line up the back and front of the material so that we didn't have to re-hem the bottom of the skirt. Next, we are sewing these darts. Angle and fold the material in half between the fold created by the pin and the single pin facing upward. This makes a triangle in the material. The single pin should be right on top of the fold you've created. Continue pinning the material from the pin, creating the fold, to the single pin on top of the material, in a straight line to make a triangle shape. Pin both darts at the same time. Be more meticulous at this part and try and do the exact angle pinning on both sides. Sew right along your pins in a straight line. Sew right off the edge of your material at the place that single pin is on the fold. Do this for both darts and your darts will look perfectly even. Iron out your seams from the inside of your skirt. Stick the tip of your scissors into the darts and cut the dart fold apart so you can iron the seams of the dart down. Before you move to the next step, make sure you try on the skirt to see if it fits properly so that you can make any adjustments you need now. Top stitch next to the seam on both sides of the seam to give it a professional finished look. Also, top stitch a rectangle on top of the dart next to the dart seam so that your dart also has a professional finished look. You can see how nice this looks when it's finished. I always sew on the top of the material that's going to be seen so that I know how it looks in the end. This is what the side seam looks like when it's all top stitched on both sides of the hem. Open up the skirt, fold and iron down the waist of the skirt. Fold as little as possible because you will then fold again to have a finished waist hemline. Sew along this fold to hold that fold in place. Take the skirt back to the iron and fold the waistline and iron down to create a finished look. Top stitch and sew the fold down for the waistline. We had her try the skirt on and it fit perfectly. Now we're ready to move on and make the straps. Use the sleeves to make straps. Cut 4 long rectangles out about 3 inches wide and as long as the material will afford. Align 2 of the rectangles on top of each other and sew the top together to make the strips longer. Iron down the seam and then top stitch both sides of the seam down. Use an iron to fold both sides of the strap towards the middle and then fold in half again and iron down the strap. Top stitch the strap 1/8 inch away from the edge on both sides of the strip. Once you're done, it should look like this. Put the skirt on and place the straps on the top of the shoulder where the seam is. Pin the straps in place on the front of the skirt. Cross the straps on the back of the skirt and pin those in place. Top stitch and sew the straps into place. Back stitch a few times so that the stitch is very secure. Cut off the excess of the straps. There you have it, a skirt made in 2.5 hours from a men's dress shirt. It's pretty amazing to me that we could take this and turn it into this. If you liked this video and want to see more, please subscribe to my channel or follow me at mothermake.com.